Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video about body positivity. And my voice probably sounds a bit hoarse. I was just sick for the past week and a half to 2 weeks. As some of you might know from my last video, which was about my sick day self-care routine. So I'll link that video in the description box. So today I'm going to be talking about about staying body positive amidst a weight gain. So if you've gained weight recently, how do you stay body positive? And just in general, despite whether or not you gained weight or not, just how to stay body positive. Before I get into my tips for how to be body positive, I would like to talk a little bit about my own experience with body image issues and my journey into becoming a more body positive person, and then I'll jump into my tips for how to stay body positive. So when I was younger, I was definitely conscious of my body. I didn't like the size I was, and I became aware of it, I think probably around middle school. Also, side note, my cat is going to be probably meowing in the background like she is right now, or just jumping around because she has a lot of energy. This happens in the majority of my videos where you get to see her. Nemi! Yeah, so my cat will be featured most likely. Anywho, so when I was younger, I became aware of my dislike, I guess, for my body when I was in middle school, and it continued on through probably end of college. So it was a long time of me being hypercritical of my body. And then once I got to high school, my mom started losing weight. She was using a calorie counting app, and so then I started using that, and I lost around 20 pounds, which isn't that drastic. It's not a huge amount of weight, but for me in particular, it made a large difference in my confidence, for sure. It made me way more confident in my body. It made me feel like people were treating me differently and in a better way. And I got very attached to being that 20-pound less weight. So once I lost weight, I was around 130 pounds, and I maintained that, or with fluctuations, but I maintained that general weight until the end of college. And in order to maintain, it was hard to maintain that weight. The point is that I maintained that weight for a long time, but in doing so, I put my
mental self through a lot. I put my mind through a lot and my body through a lot in order to maintain that weight. When I was in college in particular, when I had access to a gym and I was living on my own in a dorm, and I was able to make more of my own decisions about what I ate and when I went to the gym and stuff, I put so much pressure on myself to go to the gym every single day in the morning. I'd wake up super early so I could go to the gym before class, and I would only allow myself to have 2 meals a day, and then the other parts of the day I would either have a small snack like a banana or something. And then there was a point where I was okay, I can only have 1 small meal, and then I can have 1 large meal. And if I don't do that, I'm gonna gain weight, I'm not gonna be happy, all this stuff. And so I was very convinced that if I gained weight, and if I went up to even 140, that I would be unhappy, people would treat me different, things like that. And I really had myself convinced of that, and because of my mindset that I was okay, I need to be this weight, I was sort of obsessive about what I ate, and I was constantly thinking about food because I was restricting how much food I could eat or how much food I would let myself eat. I probably didn't enjoy food as much as I do now because I wouldn't allow myself to eat certain things like cake and cookies. I never allowed myself to eat dessert in the college dining hall, or hardly ever. I was so focused on whether or not I gained or lost weight. And there was a time, and there was a time as well where I was running almost every day, and I got pretty good at running. And let me tell you, I'm not a runner, but I made myself become a good runner because I was this is the way that I'm gonna lose weight. Doing a lot of cardio, I'm gonna
burn a lot of calories and lose weight, and like nothing else is effective for me. Like I convinced myself of that. Nothing else is effective for losing weight, and nothing else is effective for maintaining my weight except for this one activity that burns a lot of calories, which I hate. I was at a point where I was like constantly thinking about food, constantly thinking about when my next workout was gonna be, feeling guilty if I didn't follow whatever rules I set for myself in the realm of eating and exercise. And it was just not a good mindset, not a good way of being, yada yada. It was just not good. And then I graduated from college and I had a lot of life changes. I got married, I started a job, and I was also taking classes at the same time, so I was extremely busy. I wasn't living with my husband because we were long distance for a year, but I started living in an apartment instead of like a dorm with a roommate. I had a lot of life changes the year that I graduated from college, and either as a result of that or just as a result of like a slightly shifting mindset, I gained probably like 10 pounds, and then so that was like in the year 2018, 2019, like that school year. And then since I've been in Lebanon in 2019, 2020, I probably gained another like 5 pounds. So in the past like year and a half, I've gained probably 15 pounds, which like when I look back at my original weight loss in high school, where I lost 20 pounds from like 150 to 130, I've gained almost all of that weight back. And so when I was younger and I was in this phase of like, I need to be 130 pounds, the idea of gaining almost all the weight back that I lost when I was in high school just sounded like the worst thing ever. Like I could not even fathom, and I just felt like I would feel awful, and like people would not treat me the same, and I would just like, yeah, my self-esteem would just plummet if that had happened. But now that it's happened, my self-esteem hasn't plummeted, and I think it's because I've made a like mental shift from the way I was before to the way I am now, and I've put some effort in to be body positive and to, maintain my confidence and to change my lifestyle and to not be so focused on what I'm eating and how much exercise I'm getting, and just be more health focused. I'm going to talk about some of the changes that I made in order to become more body positive and to not be as obsessive about food and about how much I exercised, and just be a generally happier person overall because of that change. So the summer after I graduated from college, this is like right before the weight gain happened, or kind of during the weight gain, I read this book called Health at Every Size, and I don't remember what the author's name is, but I'll insert it on the screen. And so I read this book, Health at Every Size, and I think it's a bit of a controversial book because part of what it's saying is like obesity is not as bad as we think it is, and that it doesn't kill people, and that's a controversial statement. But from reading that book, I kind of gained an understanding for the way I had been and then the way that I should become. So basically the book defined 2 types of eaters. They're like, people fall into 2 categories basically: restrictive eaters and intuitive eaters. And I was like, oh, that's what I've been doing like basically my whole life. I've been a restrictive eater. And restrictive eating is basically what I described. So somebody who limits their food, limits their food consumption throughout the day regardless of feelings of hunger. Somebody who creates rules for themselves and is like really hard on themselves if they don't follow that like dietary rule. Somebody who doesn't listen to their body, but they kind of make a set of rules of how food should be put into their body and their mind, and without like listening to what their body needs and what their body wants, and things like that. So that's what I was. And then it was basically making an argument for becoming an intuitive eater. I'm petting my cat, by the way, you can't see her, but it was making an argument for becoming an intuitive eater, basically saying an intuitive eater is somebody who listens to their body. They listen to their body's cues. They eat when they're hungry. They stop eating once they start getting feelings of fullness. That was another thing I used to do when I was like restrictive. I used to like not let myself eat when I was hungry, and then when I was hungry, I would way overeat and I'd become like super duper full. And now I hardly ever have that feeling of being like overly full, and that used to be like a regular thing for me, and I don't enjoy that. It hurts your stomach. anyways, so an intuitive eater is somebody who listens to their body. They don't make rules for themselves. If they desire to have a piece of chocolate, they go have a piece of chocolate. If they want some white bread instead of wheat bread, they go let themselves have some white bread. However, an intuitive eater also pays attention to what they're putting into their body. You know, it's not like it's just a free-for-all. You eat whatever you want. You have donuts, whatever, all the time. But you listen to what feels good for your body, and you also pay attention to what's healthy for your body. So like having more whole wheat things than white wheat, or like white rice, and having things with like consuming things that don't have like high fructose corn syrup and like things like that. Like you pay attention to what goes in your body. You look at the ingredients, you're like, okay, this has good ingredients in it. But if you have the desire to eat something with one of those things that you know is not good for you, like high fructose corn syrup or like white bread, you don't make it a battle within yourself to like not let yourself have those things. Yeah, so that's what an intuitive eater does. So basically the book is advocating for healthy intuitive eating and knowing that like you can be healthy regardless of how much your weight is, like how much you weigh, which is again like a controversial statement, but I think they make a pretty good argument of it in the book. So once I started consciously trying to become a more intuitive eater, and that took a lot of conscious effort. It was not just like a quick overnight thing, okay, I'm gonna be intuitive. It took a lot of practice, but it took me a long time to get used to that mindset, as opposed to the mindset of like, oh my god, I'm gaining weight, like I need to stop eating this many meals a day, etc., etc. And I would say once I did change my mindset, I did gain some weight, and you know that was expected because I wasn't being restrictive anymore. And with some people, once they start being intuitive and really listening to their body, stopping when they're full, eating when they're hungry, they lose weight. But for me, I gained probably 15 pounds after starting to do that. Hey guys, I wanted to add this in a voiceover because I forgot to say it in the video. But basically what I wanted to say was that once I made the shift from restrictive eater to intuitive eater, and I was able to let go of my rules and to start nourishing my body in a way that felt good for me, and to listen to myself instead of constantly being at battle with myself mentally, I was able to then look at my health accomplishments in a much more positive light, and to not be as hypercritical of the way that my body is, the way that my body looks, because I knew that I was now doing right by my body and giving it what it needed, rather than cheating it of what it actually needed for the sake of weight loss. And to just overall have a much more positive mindset about you know, the body that I was given, and to be more thankful for it instead of all constantly criticizing the way that I was and the way that I am. And while this book wasn't the end all be all into how I became more body positive and changed my mindset, it definitely was the catalyst to a more body positive mindset. And the way that I actually achieved, you know, the fairly body positive mindset I have now will be contained in tips that I will give on achieving a body positive mindset amidst weight gain in a video I will be putting out next week. But I would definitely say that this book had a huge impact on my journey. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I'm recording this because I also did not film an ending to this video because I expected it to be one video talking about my journey and then also giving tips on how to be more body positive. So in my video next week, I will give more concrete tips based on both this book, but also my own personal experience on things that I did to become more body positive, things that worked for me. So yes, I will see you guys next week, and thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and feel free to leave a comment below if you found my story relatable, and I will see you guys next week when I post part 2 of this body positivity series. Bye.